and say good morning to everybody that has joined us. Yeah, we do start at 1:45 the hour now that propagation has changed a bit. Patricia and David here talking to Toranui, Graham and Lynn, enjoying a beautiful morning here down at Gulf Harbour. It is, well, I tell you what, as long as you have got lots of jerseys on or you're still snuggled up in bed, it is a very cold morning here because the skies are pretty clear. There's a very, very high and thin layer, and then about 10% of just sort of scattered bits and bobs. But 14 degrees now. We woke up to 13 degrees, folks. I know some of you will feel like turning around or heading west. But it's about 1 or 2 knots from the south. Just a glorious day. The barometer is rocketing up 1014.9. And as I mentioned, about 10% cloud cover, I suppose. So yeah, but a pretty good morning here if you don't mind the cold. I was just looking at some of the boats that are on their way. It's very, very interesting actually, because Agavni is quite close, 3344 south of 17347, with 20 knots of southeasterly. It's absolutely amazing. A short swell. They unfortunately blew out a spinnaker, so I guess they're going to have a bit of repair work to do when they get here. But not far behind them are Panache at 3255 and 17354. So we're not talking very far behind them, 1 degree, and they've got 5 knots of west-northwest. 1.5 metre westerly swell, 145 miles to go, so they'll be in this time tomorrow, sitting at the dock. So, yeah, it just depends on where you are relative to that bit of front that's passing through. And Diamo, they are a little bit further behind, not much though, 3232 south, 17410 east, and they have got 5 knots from the southwest. So I tell you what, there's a bit of everything. 100% cloud, so very different from here. Lots of low cumulus, rain showers about, but a flat sea, very confused long swell, 1010.9. And I forgot to say that Panache, boy, they have a very, very good fisherman on board. Benny has got loads of tuna and a couple of mahi-mahi, which is really amazing, quite close to New Zealand. So, yeah, it's worthwhile putting the old lines out, even though you're getting very close to landfall. All right, what else have we got here? Whilst the propagation is very good, I'm just going to see if anybody can copy us and wants to give a report. Please call now. Who's it? Lakushla, good morning. Go ahead. Well, Mark, haven't got good copy on you, just for the interest of others. Makushla left Chesterfield 2 days ago now, heading for Australia. And I'm wondering, Graham on Toranui, did you hear him very well? I got little bits of it. I got the course, 205 true. That's about it for accuracy. Toranui, Graham, did you copy anything?
You got one of Toranui here. I got her flat long at 24155540, and of course the 205, over.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, we were looking at where you are, well, where you were, to Australia, Mark, and it's looking, in fact, it's looking about the best part of the Pacific that I'm looking at on the satellite pictures. So it sounds pretty good. There's the odd bit of cloud around. David is just having a check here, but otherwise all is looking quite well. Could you just confirm, I think you're going into Bundaberg, is that correct, Mark? Over. Oh, you're going to Southport. Okay, yep. Well, I'll tell you what, you'll see a couple of boats that you know or have heard of at Southport. Have you got anything to add? I'm just asking David. No? So looking pretty decent. What is your current wind speed and direction, Mark? Over. Okay. Oh, well, you won't be complaining about that, will you?
What's your direction?
East. East. Did you say east or southeast? Over. Solid east. Alrighty. Yep. No, you certainly won't be complaining, and everybody on board will be enjoying that particular cruise. Certainly somewhat different from others that have experienced a passage. All right. Well, thank you for that report. And I hope all is well and that you enjoy Australia. I tell you what, anyone going to Australia is certainly not going to need any warm clothing. Incredible temperatures on the east coast, the west coast, and now this week and today, South Australia. Their record in South Australia, I think, is 42.7 for the November period, and it is going to be above 42 today in South Australia, in Adelaide. So absolutely record temperatures and not helping the fire situation at all. In fact, Panache reported that they had ash on their boat from the fires because, of course, they've had these north-northeast to north-northwest winds. They reported that at about 31 and 174 east. So just incredible fires, and it's just not letting up, and they'll have continuing problems. So, but it does make for beautiful skies. Our sunset last night was rather red, so we are getting the beautiful effects of the fires. Not that the dust. Yes, you would want to wish that on anybody. All right, we'll clear with Makusha. Is there anybody else? Well, I think there is somebody there. Graham, did you hear anybody?
No, nothing there, Patricia.
Oh, I must be hearing things. All right. Was there any relays? I thought I heard something.
What you
Was that Pilgrim? Possibly I heard Pilgrim. Good morning, Ron and Cheryl.
Using a lot of fossil fuels, and we've got we speak of it all here, and we've got
Well, I tell you what, it's probably better that way. I'll just tell people where you were 45 minutes ago. Pilgrim was at 3124, and I'm amazed that I can copy you. 17255 east, with calm seas, 100% cloud cover and a long swell, a very, very light 2 to 3 knots from the south with a 1011. Oh, well, the batteries will be good and nice and peaceful for you to have a good sit down and look at the clouds. Over. Ooh, a lightning display. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, somebody else recalled. Oh, I think it was Agavni. So, yeah, the joys of the frontal band. So, I tell you what, if you had come into New Zealand on the 19th, I mean, David did say this was going to be a good day to arrive, and it is beautiful. But anyway, you better get the winter woolies out because it's certainly not tropical, Ron. Over. Alrighty, so they won't be too far away, given that that's where they are at the moment. So just having a look on there in case there's anybody else. Haven't heard from Amazing Grace this morning, but they must be getting fairly close too. Alright, a little bit of news, folks. There was a tornado in Christchurch yesterday. Did a bit of damage too. It picked up a few trucks and tossed them around. It was in Sydenham, accompanied by a good hailstorm and things. So that was fairly exciting just after lunch. Actually, we had a bit of interest in our own backyard here. There was a fishing kayak found in the bay, Stanmore Bay actually, just across from where we live. all the gear on board, but no fishermen. So either he didn't tie his kayak very well if he stepped ashore somewhere, or a big fish came. But anyway, the kayak was found and they're looking for its owner. For those of you from Europe, there's further flooding in Venice. The 10 worst floods of the 10, 3 have hit in the last week. So there's a bit of a disaster area there. The Italians probably are just rolling their eyes because this happens quite frequently, but it's somewhat worse this time. The pictures of St. Mark's Square have people wading through, and the water is now thigh high, so it is pretty bad. Pretty bad in Hong Kong too. The protesters there are using petrol bombs, shooting arrows at police from behind the barricades at a university campus. And the police now are wanting to use live ammunition. So things are not good at Hong Kong. Hong Kong is now officially in a recession. So it's certainly not a place that you would want to pass through. I think the whole situation with flying anywhere this summer is fraught with difficulty. The headlines in our newspaper this morning were, there's trouble with some of the Boeing engines again, not just the 737 MAX, the Dreamliner, I think. So Air New Zealand have cancelled a lot of people's flights. Last night there was a problem with one of the Jetsstars. It arrived 4 minutes late in Auckland, so had to fly to Christchurch. I mean, there is just a lot of trouble. So anybody flying anywhere over the summer would be well advised to get insurance, because it's just looking a little bit difficult. Talking about flying, there's a 5-day air show on this week in Dubai. It is going to be a battleground for commercial aircraft sales between Boeing and Airbus and the various second-tier manufacturers, but it's also a venue for arms sales. 1,300 exhibitors there, and 7 of the top 10 spenders in the arms business are in the Middle East or North Africa. So it's a good place for them to have a big sales effort. It's sort of kind of a wonder that so many people from both those areas want to leave those areas. But anyway, that's what's happening there. There's not much news on the whole Brexit UK election business, because attention has now gone to the TV interview that Britain's Prince Andrew did concerning his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and various teenage girls. Prince Charles and Camilla are here at the moment, and Prince Charles is not very impressed with the interview and his younger brother. So I think he has made the statement that when he is king, he is going to reduce the number of royals in the whole royal business, and that will drop Prince Edward and his 2 daughters off the list. So that's not going down very well with Andrew. So anyway, whoever's interested in that, which I don't think hardly anybody is, that was the news from Britain. All right, there's not much more, folks. I think what we'll do is I'll just do one more call and then we'll go to the weather. Just to confirm, this is our second last day. We will do a wrap up for those that are on passage tomorrow, but I don't think anyone is left that is going to be able to hear us.
They'll be in most of
most of you will be in our skip if you're listening on the radio, and certainly there's not too many people, only 5 listening on streaming. So all of you are in and having the excitement of arriving and catching up with friends in Opua and Whangarei and so on. So we will certainly be doing the last one tomorrow, and anybody else, well, good luck. Here's David.
All righty, good morning.
I did say I was going to do a call, but never mind.
That's okay. Anyway, to follow up with the data from yesterday, the synoptic picture hasn't changed a great deal, really. Our eastern high is still pushing a nice little ridge to the northwest, and the mid-Tasman high is still in place. Its center is roughly 30 south, and 160 east. And central pressure is about 1019 millibar, very mellow high sitting there. And again, sandwiched in between both of these highs is our complex low system. So we've got cyclonic flow throughout the lower Tasman, including New Zealand. Multiple lows, fronts, troughs, all continue. Now we've got a second high that's approaching Tasmania. That's giving a bit of a shove to the fronts that are in the Tasman. And across the cruising routes, one of the fronts traverses from about 35,178 east to a small depression, little tiny depression has formed near 28 and 168 east. That's 28 south and 168 east. Just a little one, but nice little tight cyclonic flow right there. However, it then pushes a short little frontal band toward New Caledonia. And that front becomes a trough by tonight. You may wonder how that happens. Well, the front typically has temperature differentials on either side of the axis where a trough does not. So it's turning into a trough. Very weak, very, very weak, almost non-existent. And it's looking to reach New Cal. My guess is about 2 a.m. on Wednesday, late tonight into early tomorrow, if anything happens at all. Yesterday's New Zealand front has passed course to cross totally across the North Island and northeast of here by now. The remains of it reach up to 30 and 177 east. So some of the boats that have reported in, some of you are on one side of it, others of you are on the other side, and therefore getting different winds. It's quite weak, it's quite broken. The winds from 30 south to New Zealand today should be mostly southerly quadrant, fairly light, pretty much as we predicted. Now, those approaching New Zealand over the next 2 or 3 days can expect basically southerlies today, fairly light, 10 knots, maybe 10 to 15, tending northeast, I think, tending northeast tonight, and also about 10 knots, 10 to 15 maybe. So today was really the ideal day to come in, as we, believe it or not, had mentioned almost 3 weeks ago. So that's an amazing thing to have it stay consistent for that long a period of time. Wednesday, tomorrow, should get some northerlies from 30 south to New Zealand, about 10 to 15. They'll be shifting to the southwest, and that'll be 10 to 15 knots later, and there'll be some rain later as well. On Thursday, southerlies, about 15, tending southeast, and quite a bit of rain very early, old dark type early on Thursday. But all in all, not a bad passage for those who left last week. If you got in before today, it was probably a very good passage. Those that are coming in the next couple of days, a little bit of southerlies, but really nothing to be concerned about. Little light tacking, little motor sailing, and you're here. Now, for those of you still in the islands, again, I'm giving you a reminder that I do see cyclonic flow starting now, actually, but building a little bit more on Friday, and that's northwest of Fiji. And both models expect some type of tropical depression to form, but they disagree on where it's going to go. GFS has got it just to the north of Fiji. That's by probably Monday the 25th, but EC has got it northwest of Fiji and northeast of Vanuatu. Kind of just draw 2 lines and where they intersect. That's about where they think it's going to be. And it's heading for Vanuatu, according to EC. So they're radically different in where they're going. They both agree that something is forming, but as to where it goes and if it will continue to grow is in question. It probably will not. Hopefully it will not, but you never know. So stay tuned. Look at your local forecasting, look at your grids, get your charts, and just don't be complacent about it. You are in tropical cyclone season. Those wanting to leave the islands on Friday, I've heard some mumblings about that. It doesn't look particularly inviting, quite frankly. The window really was last week, or the most current one. Fairly fresh southeast winds will be gusting up to 25 or more, so that's going to make for quite an early bash if you're wanting to head down here. The Fiji departures could be a lot worse, as we've got another subtropical low forming. Now, this front that left New Zealand that I just talked about, within that front, that's where this little low is going to develop. And it's not per se going to affect the route in terms of it being a low, but what it's going to do is it's going to alter the shape of the high's isobar. So instead of having a nice curving ridge from the high, they're going to flatten out. And that means very fresh to strong southerlies. That's going to be the result of this. So leaving from Fiji, you're going to be pounding into that. Not our cup of tea, that's for sure. Okay, briefly then to the tropics now. The main trough of interest runs from the northern Solomons, the good old Solomons Trough, the hot pool area. That runs to the weak tropical disturbance that I just talked about, and that's located at the moment near 12 south and 172 east, right in that rough area. You can see that on satellite imagery for those of you that can get the internet. From there, the trough continues to near Rotuma, and then it goes on to Tokelau. So looking at Tonga and looking at imagery, it shows rain cloud moving in from the west, all part of the old New Zealand front. So probable showers today and tomorrow. Winds east to southeast, fairly light. We'll call it 10 to 15. Tomorrow, by around lunch, easterlies 10 to 15. And Friday, we could see a shift to northerlies, possibly even northwest 10 to 15. And Sunday and Monday, you could expect southerlies. Over to Fiji, on imagery, also shows plenty of cloud, much of it rain-bearing, so expect cloudy periods, scattered showers for today and tomorrow. The winds by lunch look light and variable, not bad at all. Mostly southeast, there'll be some east, there'll be some northeast. So it all depends where you are, is where this wind direction is going to be. Wednesday, there's a mix too, east-southeast to east-northeast. It all depends on your location. Light air, though, I'd say around 10 knots, maybe 10 to 15. So from that standpoint, not bad. Similar cloud situation for Vanuatu. So expect a mix there of fair to cloudy with scattered showers. A bit damp for Luganville and Port Vila. Winds are fluctuating also east to southeast, about 10 to 20 all over the place. Seas about 1.5 to 2 meters out in the ultimate water. And very, very cool nights. The forecast, believe this or not, for Lenikai, 15 degrees C. 15 C at night. And it's no wonder they all want blankets down there. New Caledonia looks pretty good on imagery. All of the trough clouds have moved off to the north, and that's leaving mostly fair skies, a few scattered clouds. Winds 10 to 15 in our lagoon area by lunch, mostly southeast. Wednesday, expect southeast 15 or so. On Thursday, the winds are going to pick up. I'm looking at southeast, maybe getting up to 20 knots, with virtually the same thing on Friday, and partly cloudy then as well. Loyalties, by the way, I'm looking at gusts up to 30 knots, and pretty much the same for northern Grand Tier. So that's on Friday. Now, for those gaggle of boats that are still there wanting to leave for New Zealand, the winds do look to back by Saturday and Sunday. I'm forecasting east to east-southeast about 15 to 20. And on Monday, east-southeast 20 near the outer reef, all the way down to about 25 south. Now, EC calls for a very nice arrival Thursday the 28th with north-northeast winds. Now GFS, a little bit different. They think there'll be very nice light westerlies. Either way, the wind's in a very, very good direction. So that is a possible window for you, leaving Saturday, Sunday, and then your rough 6 days to New Zealand, which is about the average. That's about what it takes us. So there you go, you new cowers who want to get down here. There's your possible window. And that's it from me. And I'll pass it over to the chief here, and we'll see if anybody's around.
Just some greetings from Kew. James and Chantal are home in Montreal. So I guess our 13 or 14 degrees isn't too bad, because they reckon it is very cold in Montreal at the moment. I guess it would be. Citrus tart at Nananu Ifake. I suppose they're still kiting away there. 80% cloud cover, very calm, and a bar of 1009. And Eagle's Wings and Cetacea in Port Vila. Did you reply to Cetacea? Ooh, did you?
I don't know.
Anyway, they're at Port Vila. 3 knots of east to southeast, bar of 1010.5, and they're heading off to the Marshalls today. So hopefully they will take note of what's happening there.
Tell them I'll talk about the MJO later. I sent him an email.
Oh, David's going to talk about the MJO, so maybe he'll send an email. But anyway, that's it from them. Nothing else. Is there anybody wanting to add anything? Please call now. There was somebody there, and I didn't quite catch the boat name, but I know that Taranui will hopefully hear you. Go ahead, over. Oh, I've got you good now. Go ahead, Luve.
I'll give you all position. We are 2 degrees, 1 south, 1 3 degrees, 4 east. On course for 1
See.
Okay, you just disappeared completely after the course, but anyway, I have you at 2717 south, 17343 east. Your wind speed and direction, please, over.
wind speed is very light, probably only about 5 to 6 knots. We have open sailor at 5 knots. The sea is calm.
And you're headed for Opua or Whangarei?
Opua.
ETA.
And your ETA?
We're looking at Saturday morning or Saturday sometime over.
Okay, you're looking at Saturday, probably around the 23rd. All right, and I'm going to pass the microphone because that's an area I'm not sure that he covered. So here's David.
No, not that far out, but you're on top of the funnel band. By on top, I mean you're north of it, so that's the reason you've got some pretty light air. So you'll be going through a period of cloud and some squally bits, although it's starting to break up, so maybe as you get further south, it might start to fall apart before it really bothers you. But I think you said Saturday is the ETA, and I'm looking at Saturday. You'll be under the influence of the high. That's in the Tasman at that point. From what I see are southerlies. Southerlies. You'll be tacking. That great word, tacking. And winds up to 20 knots. We'll call it 15 to 20 out of the south. There's southerly quadrant on Saturday the 23rd. Over.
Graham, was there a question in there?
You're right, but there's been hard to heavy rain in the middle of lightning last night,
Oh, roger that. Yes, a couple of people have commented on that. Lightning Pilgrim and also commented on that. He's a bit further ahead. So, yeah. All right. So you got that. All right. It sounds like, well, hopefully you've got a bit of fuel on board and ready for the sail work on the next few days. Anything else, Uwe? Over. Okay, just stand by. I'll pass back the microphone to see.
Really?
You didn't hear that? He's just looking at the direction of the winds between now and New Zealand to look at doing more sailing. So I'll just pass. He's just having a look ahead, and I'll pass the microphone.
Yeah, well, once you're totally through the frontal band, and I mean totally through it, the winds are going to shift. And you should be getting southeast winds, give or take on that direction. Could be south-southeast, like that. And from what I can see, around 15 knots, maybe 15 to 20. That's tomorrow. And then looking at Thursday, as you get a little bit further south, should be more southeast at that point, and maybe 10 to 15, like that, right in that neighborhood. And yeah, that's about it. Friday, where you've got southeast winds, and it depends upon, again, your latitude. The winds are quite stiff above 30, but south of 30, they're probably in the 15 knot range, still out of the southeast. And then you've got your arrival with the southerlies and whatnot. So it's all going to be southerly quadrant. The southeasterlies, you'll probably have a very, very firm beat if you can sail into it. But that's pretty much what it looks like. Over.
Okay, anybody else? Any relays from anybody else? And good morning to David on Anahata. He's going to be coming south in December. Anybody else? Good morning, Alan and Denise on Quintessa. Go ahead, Alan. Oh Lordy, I'm glad I've got my relay station out there at Urquharts Bay. Graham, what is he planning to do, and when is he coming south? Over.
He's departing Port Vila, I think it's tomorrow. Over.
Thank you for that. Alan, are you? Can you confirm that you're departing Port Vila tomorrow? Over.
Today.
Oh, today. Alrighty. Today, and I've just had for those that know Freya, they are going to depart Fiji in December. So anyway, they will certainly be on their own. As you probably know, everybody, we have been on the radio since May 1, and we are now ready to abscond and get into doing some sailing ourselves and doing all of the other chores that we have put off for a while whilst we complete this endeavour. So those of you who are still out there will be definitely on your own, but please remember you have maritime radio to check into. Any of the emergency frequencies, you just call them, they'll move you to a working frequency and you can check in with them. Those of you who are ham radio licensed, there is the ham radio net. Actually, I'm net controller today, so I better remember that. On 14315 upper sideband, 14315 at 2100 UTC, which happens to be 10 o'clock New Zealand daylight saving time, because we are on daylight saving now. It's 20 past 8 in the morning. What was David going to do? I think you were going to do something.
Take a nap.
Take a nap. All right, we've got Alan and Denise on their way today, so that's good. All right, folks, I think that's about it. We'll leave you to enjoy your day, and we will be back again for the last time this year, tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Cheers, everybody. Have a good day.
Very good, Donna.
Yeah, go ahead, Graham.
I think the future was by himself, over.
Oh, Denise is flying home, eh? All right.
Smart girl.
Smart girl, says David. All right, thank you for that. Boy, it's so nice having someone. Our noise here, Graham, now is getting worse and worse. In fact, one of my jobs over the summer is to look at having a remote station. But because we do streaming, it's going to be a little bit of an electronic nightmare to set up. But yeah, just the greater number of people with gizmos in the house that have a lot of noise interfering stuff for radio. It's becoming really quite difficult to hear people who don't have a very good signal over.
Yeah, but we're getting worse. All these